Greetings again. This is so exciting for me. I don't know how it comes across to all of you, but I'm so excited and I am honored to be able to be a part of this journey with you. So I was sharing how, the Catholic Church, helped to shape my beliefs inside of myself. And my parents were very strict parents, and the Catholic Church was very quiet, very solemn, very holy. And the children had to learn how to be very quiet, very solemn, very holy. And well, maybe not very holy, but very quiet, very silent, very respectful. And my parents did a fabulous job of teaching me respect for my elders, of teaching me how to be grateful for the things that were given to me, how we used to go out in the Catholic Church to homebound individuals and we would visit. And so it taught me that there were others that weren't as well off as me that really needed comfort. I saw a lot of the loneliness that seniors would be feeling, and the joy that would come when, I think they were called shut-ins at the time. And the Catholic Church, did instill in me the idea of there being a loving God. There being a loving God. And I knew about Yeshua. I knew what he had done for us. I at least knew it in the sense of it being almost celebrated. The Catholic Church celebrates the crucifixion of Christ as the atonement for sins, and that's fine. That's what I grew up in, and I met a lot of great people there, and it was an experience. But as I've said before, it wasn't my whole truth. I was still seeking. And when I rebelled at 12 and 13, I can look back now and know that was me getting in touch with a part of myself that I had denied, suppressed, and disowned up until that point. And it was my angry part. It was my rageful part. It was my, hey, listen up. This is not how you're meant to be. You're being squashed. I didn't know any of this at the time. All I knew is that I fought with my mother like crazy. All I knew is that I didn't exist in my father's eyes. All I knew is that I was to keep quiet and listen and obey authority in the church, out of the church, at the schools, that I was just under thumbs, everywhere. And my soul was screaming to say, no, you have a part of yourself. And I didn't know any of this, but I just knew that I was angry, very angry. And I was very bitter towards my parents, and that it was time for me to show up for myself. And so I know a lot of teenagers do this, but I can now look back and know that I did that from a place of something inside of me that wanted to be heard. Now, I didn't like anger. I didn't show anger, wasn't allowed to show anger. It wasn't something that was allowed to be in my life. And so this feeling of you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm an autonomous being, and I'm going to make my own decisions, and you don't get to control me because I am me. And so it was me trying to get in touch with myself. And then what happened was authority came back into my life and said, no, 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 no. You will fit into this box we have you in. Because your parents are having you arrested, and you are going on probation, and you will go to counseling, and you will go to this youth shelter, and you will follow the rules. And those rules are everywhere around us. Have you noticed that? Any of you? I'm sure many of you have noticed that. Have noticed that society loves people who obey. We are a republic, after all. We are a land of law. We are a land of rules. We are a land of laws. And though we have the illusion that we're free, I have come to know we are not free, because we've been conditioned, programmed, brainwashed by everything around us. And that has been by design of entities and beings that have separated themselves from God, source, all that is, that have decided to do things their way. Now, they are not the light. They cannot create. They can only mimic. So, at any rate, I have some strong feelings about the systems that have been created over the last few thousands of years, about how they've taken feminine energy and completely squashed it, that it's not okay to be sensitive, that it's not okay to have emotions, that it's only okay, and definitely not anger. I mean, have any of you been on the phone with a utility company or a cable company or anybody, and the slightest bit of your internalness being frustrated with what's going on results in the other person telling you, do not be loud and be angry with me, even if you're not and you haven't even hardly raised your voice. Anger is the most squashed, disowned, denied emotion that exists. Because we're taught it's not right to be angry. Anger serves no purpose. At least that's what I learned, that it didn't serve a purpose. I spent my whole young years trying to not make people angry, not create conflict, get good grades, do everything that I could do to earn love from my family, to be seen, to have my views be acknowledged, to have things that I cared about actually matter to my parents. I just internalized and was allowed to be molded and programmed into this obedient, honor student person. But I felt like an adult when I was 9 years old. I can remember it. Why do I feel so grown? And then as I got to this place in 2021 where we moved and sold our house, all of a sudden, life didn't feel real. I literally stepped into that surrealness that this wasn't happening. I don't know if it was what some would call a psychotic break, but it definitely brought me to a place that I was feeling so alone. I left my family. I left my place that I knew. I wasn't yet settled where I wanted to be in the country. We were in the city in Tennessee, Western Tennessee. The culture that was there was so different from the culture of Connecticut in my body. And I couldn't stop grieving. I could not stop grieving, agony, grief. And then, the leaving was so quick that my son had struggled with it. I was struggling with it. It was a mess. And I remember getting to a point where I felt so young all of a sudden. I mean, I was like, if I asked myself, how old do I feel? I felt 3 years old, 4 years old, 6 years old. And it was just agony. It was agony. And I couldn't go back to the church at that time because organized religion to me was part of my issue. And it was part of why I wasn't finding truth. And by the time we had left our home, I had started creating a sacred space for me to meditate. I was feeling drawn after that meeting I told you, that Bible study where my eyes had been opened to other concepts, and that the Catholic Church may not have been as honest. And I had been in the Protestant church for a long time too. And it became just as much as following the rules, but it was the rules of the Bible. And it still led me to a place that didn't allow space for me, because it reaffirmed, be there for everyone else, be there for everyone else, be there for everyone else. Because when I could be needed by others, when I could earn love, I felt useful, because that was what I created in my childhood. I earned love by being good, by being there to soothe my mom, perhaps. I don't know. I think about things now, and I'm guessing that I did. Or by just being so invisible that I wasn't causing any issues. I read a lot as a child. It was my safe place. And so I just want you to get from this time together that we literally are programmed by everything in our life, and that these entities have created fear and division and victimization, legitimate victimization if you think about it, right? But no, because we're going to learn other things that I have taken in as my truth now. And this is why I say take what resonates, and what doesn't, that's fine. Organized religion has served a purpose on one hand, but in my heart, its greater purpose is still to control you, just as much as you are controlled within your family unit. And until you go inward, pass through the dark night of the soul, deconstruct and reconstruct your identity, you're going to continue to operate on autopilot, believing that the love and the sacrifice and the martyrdom that you give to everybody is your empathy. But there is so much more to that. So much more. So stay tuned, my friends. Blessings to all until I see you again. Namaste. May you feel the light that surrounds you is in you, and that you are